Shalom, Salama, Siemi, Shalom. Greetings, my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world, whether you are of the bloodline or you are grafted in under the blood of Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ. I want to first say thank you for all those that support me and support others of what we do to continue to bring the word of the Most High to you all, to edify you. This walk is a lonely, lonely walk. And there's not many of us that are out there because really, a lot of us don't even have the relationships to be able to talk to folks on the phone, to converse with folks through text. Really, we have YouTube and Hebrew Sphere as one of those platforms. And I count myself fortunate that I have a brother that I talk to, natural one. He's awakening, not all the way awake. I have my mother. She's awakening. I have my dad. He's awakened. I have my cousin. She's awakened. I have my one cousin up in the DMV. He's awakening. And so I see the folks that have had this testimonial, and I'd like to shout out to Kingsley that was on the panel with Teo for the Great Reset. And that Great Reset, I was telling Teo Yakoba actually earlier. I said, I wanted to look at doing. I already had my thumbnail created and everything. I was gonna do a message of how short is the fuse. And every time Teo comes on out, he reaches on out and says something. I know that he has some good articles because I also provide him some good articles, and he may kind of hold on to that to vet it to see how things work itself on out. And just as he was going over Deagle and how Deagle had kind of changed up things, we made sure to screen capture everything. So they can't say, well, that's never been there, or this version was never like this. See, once you put those things out in the air, guess what? It's free game. Now, whether you want to revise those numbers or update those numbers, I look at it and it's like, well, you know what? It's too late. You don't open your mouth. You can't take it back. I know how that feels to kind of speak prematurely. I know how that feels to speak in an emotionalism, and how that has cost me. But I also know that I can't look backward. I can only look forward. Yeah, my race was a little ugly. And I said things that honestly, I wish I could take back. But I know that what I had to learn, I'm passing on to you all that are listening, because in this knowledge and in this truth, who is a teacher? Who's a professor in this knowledge and this truth? You only have a handful that are actually spirit led, filled by the Holy Spirit. And it's hard because back last year, I didn't really have all the tools that I needed. And it's not to demean all the ministries and things of that nature. Listen, last year we didn't even have a Hebrew sphere to be able to even edify each other, to lift each other up, to question each other, admonish each other, correct each other, pray for each other. None of that was available. We actually have kingdom building tools outside of YouTube, outside of Facebook, outside of Instagram. We're doing it. We're controlling our own destinies. Because you got to remember, when you stop relying on a system that's been artificially created to keep you in a captive state, that oppression is now a mind controlled oppression. It's an economic oppression. It's a judicial oppression. It's administrative and educational oppression. And you want to know what? We're all feeling it in this day and age. So the other day, I had actually got in touch with Teo again. I got in touch um, with Dante Fortson, and I tried to leave a message with Kingdom Harbinger Ministries because I was looking at the GoFundMe page, and I said, you know what, Lord? I said, thank you, Father, for what you have provided. Lord, let me give back. I'm always going to give back. That's 10%. And that 10% does not go into the Revelation 2939 people. No, it's going to our folks. And so I was kind of frustrated because when I looked at the GoFundMe page through Harbinger Ministries, I didn't see anything there. And well, it was there, but I was not able to donate because it said that there was an error box that the site was no longer collecting donations. And so I see these things. And even when I had spoken to my dad about that this afternoon, I said, look, there's really no mechanisms to help us. There's really no one or organization that's really stepped on up to provide anything for us. We are a desolate and destitute people. And see, when I was thinking about how long is the fuse or how short is the fuse, I wasn't really thinking too much about us as Israelites. I wasn't thinking too much about us as Hebrews. I was thinking about the worries of the world, the concerns of the world. Because we all have the itchy ears to say, oh, you know what? Look what's happening next. Oh, look at what happened to the Dow. Oh, look what happened here. Oh, they can't get no stimulus. Oh, these folks are going crazy. Yeah, But it's not a surprise to us. It's not a shock value to us. It's not a sticker shock to us. But what that does do, it makes us lose sight on us. You know, it says to not be concerned about the things of this world. And listen, I look at it, I'm concerned. Now, you can be concerned about the prophetic occurrences happening. Yes, you can be concerned about that. But we don't need to be concerned about this or the mechanisms or how the Most High is going to do things. You know, in my current situation, I've had to be obedient to understand I don't need to know how the Most High is going to bless me. All I need to know is that He still sits on His throne. You know, it's easy for us to kind of sit and provide some analysis of what we're doing and how we're doing and what needs to happen and how things need to happen because we're only human. And so it always reminds me to go back to Hebrews 11 and 1. It's by faith. I am literally operating by faith. And you want to know what? It's not a bad thing. We all have to go through seasons. There are folks that have lost their jobs. There are folks that are losing any type of unemployment. There are folks that have had unemployment dry up and run out. There are folks that are still making it when it even seemed that it was impossible. So you got to remember, look, this wicked system, they hedge their bets against our destruction, our demise. You know, it's amazing when they were looking at the stock market and they're looking at everything in terms of you see the numbers of how economically we are disparaged as a people within this COVID-19 economic crisis. And yet the stock market keeps rising. Because the stock market, hence the name, was created on our demise. It was created on the principle of selling us, ensuring that we were in calamity for all time. Not 400 years. Let's get this straight. It was to ensure that we were in calamity, that we were in captivity forever. Think about this. Think about this. I was driving tonight and over by a library that's nearby, there's a polling place. And in the polling place, you see all the signs on out there. But one thing that was noticeably absent was all the Trump signs had been taken. And see, you're seeing a fight. It's an internal fight, not for us, but it's an internal fight for them because they're losing their system of control. So you have to understand once you lose a system of control, this is really the worst insurgency that the United States has ever had. We're not going on out there going crazy. We're not going on out there burning things. But you see, the United States is crumbling on its own weight. And that weight was wickedness. Look, even Christ had said, look, a house divided amongst itself will not stand. We see this house collapsing. We're telling this house, you owe us money. You owe us reparations. You owe us our wages. And the wicked withholds it. We're not telling you you're wicked, but you have to look at the wickedness that's happening and that has been happening for 400 years. Look, I was on Teo's channel today and I made the joke when Teo was asking, does it kind of seem as though we're in this moment? Does it kind of seem as though this 400 years looks like it actually might be taking shape? And everybody on the panel, they were dead serious. Yes, yes, yes. And I said, absolutely not. Because you want to know why? Because we should have left already. If you have a mind of a Eurocentric Christian mind, we're out of here. The rapture should have taken place, or it's going to take place any day now. Well, I kind of have bad news for those rapture folks. Because don't you think that when the plagues and the pestilence has started happening earlier this year, don't you think that maybe the God of Eurocentric Christianity should have raptured his folks by now? I'm just saying. Isn't it starting to get a little much? Isn't it starting to be a little more than what a lot of folks can bear? These folks are actually committing suicide because COVID-19 is now running rampant. We've now had an eclipsed more cases than we've ever eclipsed. And the powers that be have said, we cannot fight this thing. It's too much for us to handle. See, you have to understand that when judgment comes, there's always a denial period. This can't happen to me. I'm sorry to tell you, United States of America that after your last physical, there was anomalies found in your blood test. See, it shows that your cancer of racism has metastasized. And the treatment that was suggested had been rejected. And so right now we could have done some exculpatory surgery to remove those cancerous cells. We could have done some radiation to slow the spread. We could have had to change your diet or had a holistic approach to be able to cope and maybe even heal without using your pharmaceutical endeavors, which only makes the matter worse. But as your physician, the Most High, Yahuwah of Israel, I'm sorry to say, you could have been healed. Your wounds are grievous. The cancer's at stage 4 because the panic is now real. The panic is setting in. Oh man, this cancer that had plagued this nation for 400 years, known as racism, it's gotten out of hand. Now all these judgments are just reinforcing the fact that everything that they tried to say was fine, their prescriptions of everything's all right. See the Disney movie? Everything's good. It's always a happy ending. You don't need to worry about judgment because that doesn't exist in my world. And so you've had a nation that has had a couple of generations of that thinking, that thought process. You do not have to worry about consequences for your actions. Don't worry about killing a black man. You're not going to get that much time in jail. And guess what? You're going to beat it anyway because they're going to forgive, forgive, forgive. Oh, you hung that person? Nah, it's all right. They're going to get mad and they're going to forgive, forgive, forgive. That's been the template. For over 60 years, it's been the template. Oh, we got civil rights. We have this. We have that. But what has America been doing? It's been using its own prescription. And that prescription hasn't been approved by the Most High Yah and his FDA standards. See, spiritually, America had a chance to heal. It did. It was about to go in that direction. And then you saw when Trump had made it to the church, I said, oh, that's when America hardened its heart. It's game over. See, you have to understand that certain actions manifest itself. Certain natural responses create a spiritual response. And then that spiritual response will then matriculate back into the natural. So then, shortly thereafter, the nation went crazy. And now the nation is still going crazy because now its focus is on a democratic process, quote unquote, of voting to elect which races won't be as bad. But you have to understand, you're not dealing with really racism, you're dealing with the ancient hatred. You know, you're not supposed to hate your brother. Really, you're not supposed to hate anyone other than your enemy. Because that line, that declination has been shown. Look, as much as I try to keep and extend my hand, and you got my finger, you got my thumb, you got me down to the wrist, you got me to the elbow, and now you're taking my arm off. I think I know where you stand now. That's what we've done as a people. We've allowed ourselves to be mutilated. We've allowed ourselves to be castigated beyond repair. And it's crazy because going back to what I'm saying, look, we're going through a spiritual insurgency. How can that be? These black folks have woken up. These black folks are even saying that they're Israelites. These black folks are even claiming they have archaeological records, genealogical records, historical records, even from the Library of Congress. Wow, that's a problem. How do they know this? Who is telling them this? Who is their leader? We got to find somebody who's a Martin Luther King or a Malcolm X figurehead because we got to assassinate them. We got to kill them off. We got to take their spirit. You know, the funny thing is that for as much as this awakening has taken place, everything that was done pre 2020, it was done. Good, bad, indifferent. There was a process to it. Now, you see a lot of people that are awakening and they're saying, "Oh, you know what? My spirit is drawn to this. My spirit is drawn to that." See, I had already said a couple months ago, this lockdown was the best thing ever because what it did, it literally shut our people in and it made them read the word. Hey, you realize this 400 years is because of you. What? What? You're Israelites. Huh? What? And we're not even talking about the greater Exodus. We're just talking about, and after that 400 years, the nation whom you have served that nation will I judge. See, right now, the fuse is running short because everybody senses it in their spirit what's going on. You see it on the news, what's happening. Their judgment is real. It's every day, not certain times. It is every day. Everything is fine and dandy until when? Until the 401ks disappear. And do you not think these folks are thinking about that? Suspend everything. Suspend the Constitution, martial law. We're going to build this thing ground up. What do you think is going to happen when that's said? How do you think that's going to go down? See, these are the things that we've already seen and we already understand because if you've been following ministries like Teo, Dante Fortson, Rebirth of a Nation, We Woke Now, and the list goes on and on and on. But Teo really brought it on out, especially when you're following Pastor Omar and Stephen Darby, Pastor Stephen Darby. They were giving you the blueprint. They were showing you, okay, well, you got HR 1242. That was signed in 2018. Uh-oh. Now you got this. Now you got that. Now you got this. And now you see that the fuse is burning. And it's burning. And it's still continuing to burn. And now it's almost to the primer. It's almost hitting that blasting cap. And we have to understand, where are we going to be when that thing detonates? It's not going to be if, it's when it detonates. Because you have to understand, nobody's backing down in this election. This isn't an election. This is literally a demarcation. Who you voting for? I'm for Team Trump. Who you voting for? I'm for Team Biden. Team Trump, you're red. Team Biden, you're blue. You'll get those emails. Show your support for Team Biden as he had legitimately secured the election by wearing blue. On the other side, show your support for Team Trump by wearing red. Because this election was compromised. And we need to get back and redo the Constitution the way that it was supposed to. These are the arguments. These are the narratives. I'm not the one making it up. They're the ones saying it. But you already know, if you know how the story ends, you're just doing the Cliff Notes. We see it. We understand it. But woe to them. Woe to them. They're blind. That spiritual blindness has been on them and they can't shake it. We look at them like, what are y'all doing? Y'all make no sense. That's because those curses have come off of us. Emotionalism. I spoke about that a couple days ago. But now we see emotionalism. And I thank the Most High, Yah, that it's not seen on our people as much as it had been. But don't you want to get recruited to fight the man, and you can get your benefits, and you can get your help, and you can get your money because they've been keeping it away from you. Get what's yours. Get what's due to you. Okay, that sounds good, but it ain't going to come from your hands. Because we already know who's going to provide. We already know how this thing works on out. I don't need to do anything. Well, don't you want to fight? Don't you feel bad? Don't you feel threatened? Don't you feel this? Don't you feel that? Because they try to play on the emotions. So you got to understand, the more that they've been playing on the emotions and using the emotion card, and we just said, look, forget the emotions. Let's look at the facts. They run away. Here in Florida, I get called about now 5 or 6 calls during the day. I'm such and such. I'm a volunteer with the Florida Democratic Party. I see that you're an independent. Are you going to be voting? No. They don't even ask you. They don't even ask anymore. They used to ask me, well, why aren't you voting? What would you like to have? What do you need? They don't even do that. And here, I'm not trying to be political. I'm just trying to tell you, they don't care about our disposition. They enjoy that we're weak. But here's the problem. Because we have been weakened, America has actually been weakened. They never really understood the equation of how we feel when we provide for America. See, when we are feeling kind of quote unquote somewhat secure, we produce. There's production. Yeah, do we never get any wages comparable to what we produce? Never. But we'll be satisfied with the little crumbs that we get. And we'll say, thank you, I appreciate it. Now we'll eat half of this plate, all 13 of us, while the rest of you 87% folks, y'all eat the rest of the 99 and a half plates. See, they have more. They have their plate and some to spare. Ice Cube said that best. And that resonates. It doesn't make sense. But see, now, forget the emotionalism. Now it's all starting to make sense. And you have to realize, as it's starting to make sense to us, it's not starting to make sense to them. And you almost have a devolving. They're devolving to where they were in our state. Because you got to remember, everything that they had tried to do to keep us in that wanton state, that state of suspense, suspended animation where you're just constantly falling because at every single rung of the ladder, there's something sabotaged. What you thought was a rung that would hold your weight, you'd fall off the ladder. And see, we've understood, okay, we can't use that ladder. That ladder doesn't work. Well, what about the American dream? What about it? It never worked for us. We need to have a different ladder. Matter of fact, forget trying to scale whatever we're scaling here. I need to leave. What about this? What about that? It's not dangerous. Listen, you look at the crime rate of these countries throughout the world, you're all right. You'll be all right. It's pretty pictures that are being drawn when you're the one that you can draw your own picture. It may not represent reality, but that's the picture I'm showing everybody else. And then you look at these other nations and it's like, okay, what's your crime rate? Wow, that's low. Wow, man, that's it? Was that? Yeah, what did you think? Well, I saw in the movies, it was like bad and violent and all this stuff. It was sensationalized. And then they look at you like, are you out your mind? No, I'm not. This is just the image that's being presented to me to emotionalize me. Because when I become emotionalized, I continue to be in that suspended state of animation. Because my emotional fear response has been triggered and I don't do anything. I'm zapped. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm not trying to see anyone. I'm not trying to talk to anyone because I have been so emotionally zapped. I can't think. I can't respond. You know, I thought about that as I was talking to my dad. I said, we have been able to just be away from the system and we've been able to actually think. We've been able to respond. We've been able, as a people, to see what's going on. We can articulate it. In these last 7 months, we have been able to articulate the problem. We have literally graduated with our PhD in understanding white supremacy within these last 7 months. Give yourselves a round of applause because remember that took centuries and it was never mastered by any of our ancestors. And now you have to understand if they know that we've now mastered the con game, they know that their time is limited. They know that what they had tried for years is no longer working. See, they're trying their best to put out the fuse. They're trying their best to kind of diffuse things, and we're going to bring it back to normal. We're about to have another hurricane hit towards Louisiana. We're at record-setting hurricanes being developed. We're at record-setting fires that are still burning. We're at record-setting COVID numbers and deaths that's still occurring. It's not getting any better. Record setting rates of suicide, record setting rates of depression, record setting rates of hospitals that are no longer stocked with medical supplies. Have you ever heard such a thing that rations have to be used in some of the hospitals there in Utah? The states are running out. They can't keep up with the demand. And these hospitals are getting overwhelmed because they've had to lay off nurses and doctors because the economy's in shambles. So everybody has to, for them, emotionalize things. I got to get to the poll. I got to show my vote. I got to vote to make things better because I am emotional and this is how I'm able to respond because this is what I am programmed to respond like. And we're saying, wait a second, no, no, no. I'm not voting for anything unless we as a people receive something tangible. Well, don't you want to vote for get the tyrant out? I don't care. You don't care about what's happening to America? Nope. You don't care about your family? I do care about my family. And the Most High is going to take care of them, like He always has. But this go around, I want something in return. What are you saying? See, you can understand how the situation goes based on their responses. It's not based on our responses, it's based on their responses, their mannerisms, their countenance. You see faces that are dragging, they're low faces. You just see it in their body language. When you talk to them, you know it's like the hope that was once there is now more hopeless. And you got to remember, look, it's to break them. See, we don't realize in Exodus, the Most High systematically broke Egypt. He broke them. He sent plagues, and those plagues, all right, we can deal with this, we can deal with that, we can deal with this, we can deal with that. We can't deal with that. Nope, we can't deal with that. Your firstborn is going to be dead. Shh, don't tell nobody. Israelites, stay on code. Don't tell nobody. This is coming from the Most High. Get that blood of the sheep over that door. Cook that sheep. Eat it up. Don't leave nothing in the morning. Throw it in the fire. Don't give nothing to your enemies. As a matter of fact, when it's time to go, when you hear the word, you're going to be robbing them. Matter of fact, it's going to feel like a robbery, and they're just going to be throwing their stuff down. Take it and go. The Most High had dug their pockets. But you got to remember, that's what's happening here. You know, every time they say, oh, it's going to get better, it's going to get better, I kind of laugh. And I said, you want to know what? You don't hear nothing about repentance. And I said, man, I feel sorry for that fool because he's walking down the path of the foolish. In the path of the foolish, it always leads to destruction. Every single time. That's why you have Proverbs. So, for us and how we're seeing things, this fuse is coming short. It's coming quick. See, it used to be, well, Lord, any day, any time, any hour. Now it's, wow. We're quickly approaching this deadline. We got 200, less than 200 hours. And the fireworks are going to go. So in this time, we need to be cognizant of how we take things and how we look at things, because when we see this fuse shortening, we need to be even more courageous, because that blindness is going to be so overwhelming to them, they won't know what to do. We are the light. We are the salt. We're going to see what Isaiah 60 was talking about. And it's not a physical light, it's all in spirit. So as that spiritual fuse moves closer and closer to all of my Israelite brothers and sisters, whether you're of the bloodline or you're under the covering of the blood of Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, we do not have that much time to prepare. So in conclusion, if you like the content provided from Covenant Awakenings, please like, share, subscribe, and also comment. I'll read your comments, and I definitely will return a response. And I thank you for those that feel blessed by what Covenant Awakenings is doing here, because it's not for the benefit of me; it's for the benefit of you all. You all strengthen me when I talk. That's why I said, listen, you can visit us at Covenant Awakenings. You can look at our Patreon and Cash App and everything else. But honestly, prayers. The prayers of the righteous availeth much. The Most High listens to us, and He has been listening to us. I don't know about you, but it is awesome seeing that those curses have been broken. It's awesome seeing that cell phone, that heavenly cell phone reception, that service is now restored. Hallelujah. We're in the age, look, knowledge is increased. Now, what are you going to do with that knowledge? So with that said, family, Salama, Siemi, Shalawam, and Shalom. So peace and blessings, Israel.